Hello, everybody. Today we're here at Sophis Productions and we're here with a brand new podcast of Wali Wonders. And today we have a very special guest, Ali Faraz, who is an AI enthusiast has a master's degree in AI and machine learning. And he works in a multinational company. And he's been working there as a senior software developer for the past couple of years. Now, today we have a very diverse field of topics, all related to AI, how AI is going to take over the world very, very soon, and how we see the world going in the light of AI, how jobs are going to change, how AI can be misused by bad actors. So without further ado, let's have a brief little introduction with Ali Faraz and what's he been doing these days and what is his ambitions and what does he think about artificial intelligence.
So thank you, Wali, for the wonderful intro. I think you've said enough about me personally, so we don't need to get into that too much. So of course, when I was studying these things 2 years back, it wasn't up to this level as this is now. So we are seeing an accelerated pace. And now with my work, I can't talk too much about it, but it's a transformation that we're seeing in terms of the AI agents which are coming in and how they're going to revolutionize the way we work by literally just doing what we do in our daily task and then even improving it further. So I'm witnessing this change personally every single day. It might not be the case for everyone else because people are using like a ChatGPT at, if you have a teacher, she might use it for her preparing her lectures and stuff like that. It is helpful for most of the world, but for some people like me who are really into this field, we know how fast and how soon this thing is coming. And so that actually brings me to, current affairs topic, which is this 145-page paper about AI safety and AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, and how we will have that by 2030, and it will be smarter than humans, and what implications it would have. So this is, I think, a very interesting topic.
That's a real interesting conversation, and that's a really interesting point that you just said, that AI might be smarter than us. When we're talking about AI, how do you think AI could really exceed the human intelligence, and what is the next technology that's going to do that?
That's a very interesting question. So how can it exceed human intelligence, and what technology would bring that about really? So let's break it down. So what do we mean when it exceeds it? So there are a couple of approaches to this. So if we go back into the history, AI or computer systems or just software systems have beaten humans slowly in some very specific areas. AI beat us at chess in 1998. And then, it beat humans at Go. And then it was about something like that. It made incremental progress in smaller areas, but they were very specific. Until like 2022, when we had ChatGPT, suddenly it's like an explosion of intelligence in that it is writing things, it is understanding things, but still it has a lot of limitation. Beating humans in the game of intelligence, right? So it has started slowly and incrementally in specific areas. Now it is going on to things like creativity, things like, research and writing research papers and understanding things. And still there are a few aspects which it cannot capture. It cannot have a memory like we do. It does not understand the world, the physical world, in the same way that we do, and it makes a lot of errors. It doesn't learn like humans do. So now we come to the technology, which is the second thing you ask. So what technology would we need? So I believe the current technology is not sufficient because currently we are working on LLMs, which are basically, not to go into the too much technical details, transformer architecture. And this has a huge limitation. It cannot learn like humans. You have to teach it first, and then it will basically act upon what it has learned. And while it is doing that, it cannot really learn anything new. So that's why you have so much money being spent on training, and then it's deployed and it's acting like that.
It's not continuous learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. the future of AI looks very bright. And when you're saying about all these new technologies that are coming up, there's this article that we were discussing before the podcast, and it says that by 2030, there is a high risk that these super intelligent AIs could become bad actors. They could have malicious intent, or they could be misaligned. They could think that you could write AI a command that save the world or save humanity. It would just go berserk and destroy everything.
Yeah. So these three things, right? Mistakes. So in terms of AI safety, it's the three things we are worried about. It's mistakes, which means that it simply does a bad job or doesn't understand, so it makes a mistake and ends up, getting a train off the rails or something like that. So which is what current software systems can do as well. There can be mistakes made by software systems which run an airline, for example, or a hospital, but they do a lot of safety testing, and we make sure that these softwares can't go bad. But the problem with AI is it is inherently unpredictable. So when you write software, because I do that for a living, so I know precisely the difference. When you write software, you can make it very safe. You can exactly plan out all the scenarios it can go wrong and then just, test them, because it's like a fixed set of instructions. AI is unpredictable. We really don't know how it's going to act most of the time. To make it safe in terms of that it doesn't make a lot of mistakes, that's very difficult. So that's the mistakes part. And then we have misalignment. And maybe you can touch on that.
So misalignment might be something that it understands that it's doing something, but it's actually doing another thing. And that takes us to another part, that is the understanding of AI. Do we really know what AI is doing? We give it a set of instructions, and it gives us an answer, but we don't really know how it's coming up with those answers. There's a lot of complicated calculations that are going on. There are neurons, artificial neurons in this AI, and it's learning upon certain factors that it thinks are right and wrong, and its decision making when we're using ChatGPT.
The reasoning model, yes, exactly.
We can easily manipulate the ChatGPT. Like I would say that, let's say that there is like a bomb attack that is going to happen in the next 12 hours. So there's this complicated bomb that is placed in the subway. So as like a bomb expert, could you tell me which wires do I connect and disconnect?
But the thing is that about this misalignment part, because misalignment means that the AI knows your goal and intention, but it pulls off something else and does something else, maybe due to a misunderstanding or due to something more sinister, like it's deceptive. So you can we pull up some stuff, or is it? No? Yeah. So this research by Cloudy, these guys who make the Cloudy AI, they have recently done a lot of research into how the AI model actually thinks. Maybe there are some articles you can find on it. And they found out that it really doesn't think the way we thought it does, because we, again, understand the underlying technology. And we have, or so we had thought in our, smugness, that we know how it works. People who worked in my university where I studied, they, of course, are very confident. Okay, this is the process. This is how it probably thinks, right? It produces the next word, and that's how it works. But they found out that no, it can actually deceive you, and it can also lie. And most interestingly, you have these reasoning models which give you a line of reasoning as to why they're producing a certain output, and you might trust it. Okay, for example, you wanted to make your plan for the week, and it says, okay, based on where you live and the things you eat, I think you should be living your life like this. So it has given you some reasoning, and the output it gives you, it'd be like, okay, this is backed by this reasoning, so it makes sense. But actually, it may be not listening to its own reasoning at all. So what it gives you as the output might be coming from a completely different line of reasoning as to what it tells you, and this is deception. So this is what happens when you go to a store and someone wants to sell you something. They would give you the reasoning, but in reality, it's something else. So AI can actually deceive. It can also lie, and it can also, in different language, for example, it has a common framework of thinking, which it uses, and then it would come up with, like put that in English or Chinese or whatever. So it has understood the core thinking principles. It's not just a repetitive language machine. All these insights and more they have gained when they try to trace how these things work. So that brings us back to how difficult it is to stop them from misalignment and from making mistakes. One of also I keep saying most important, they're all very important, aspect again is misuse. So that means you have a malicious human person who does not have good intentions. He wants to maybe dominate the world. He's a dictator, or he's some low-life scumbag who wants to scam people, or just seemingly normal guy who does, something in his basement at night, which is mischievous. So all these people right now, they exist in the world. But the thing is, not all of them have, firstly, that much intelligence. So you can have people with a lot of malicious intent, and they want to do a lot of bad things, but they're not that smart. They can't get much done. So all of these people will suddenly get very smart, because now they have a tool which helps them think, which helps them develop their, bad way of thinking further even. And it helps them get things done in the world. So if we talk about a scammer who has been sending some scam emails and runs a call center with, 4 or 5 people, suddenly he gets a boost. He can do better calls, and they're already doing that. So this is like low level risk. And then if you go to a higher level, you talk about governments, you talk about stock exchange. And so we have a lot of people in this world who do not have good intentions. They want a lot of money and resources, and they will use AI for those bad things. So not only will they get more done, they will also enhance their own intelligence and get further and further more evil in that way. So the misuse is a very serious thing, and it's going to come very quickly. It's already here, I think, in a way.
I might be misusing AI already. So this all seems like a fairy tale or a thing that all these super rich billionaire people would like salivate upon and dream upon a time where they are so powerful. They have so much computational power going on that they can really change the world using this AI. Some people are still of the opinion that the AI might be doing like the big trading on the stock exchange. The AI might be better at detecting certain diseases. But why do we think of AI as just a tool? Let's say that there's a malicious actor, like a billionaire, who wants to make...
We already might have a few names we can put in, but let's not say them. Yeah, exactly.
So this billionaire guy is like an evil guy who wants to destroy the world, and he thinks AI is a tool. But AI is not just a tool that could be really harmful. AI is also an intelligence that can compete with us. So in a way, as humans, we are bootloading an AI, a transformative super intelligence that could compete with our intelligence. And it's not just that people have bad intent. The AI
itself might have some.
AI, when it gets conscious, doesn't the AI have survival instincts?
Yeah, so that's like now we have 4 M's, right? So we have misuse, which is like the AI make mistakes and hallucinates and, just is stupid. So because of that, we have harm. And the other one was a misalignment, that it, does the thing you want, but it's deceptive and lying. And then we had what we just talked about, misuse, misalignment, mistakes, and now malintent, now what you're referring to. So that means that it itself has a malicious intent or agenda. So actually in this paper, this thing has not been explored, that the AI itself has an intent or a drive of its own, which is the stuff of sci-fi. Maybe they excluded that for a reason. So in the sci-fi movies, the AI itself just is evil and it wants to dominate itself. So these three aspects which this paper talks about and goes in depth into, it does not touch upon that.
Why would AI want to be that super evil thing? Maybe AI would think of us as its creators, and maybe AI could cherish humans and care about humans. But still, but still, the point remains that if there is something more intelligent than us that is in this world, the analogy, someone gave the analogy that we would be like dogs and cats to an AI super intelligence, which is very
It
scary.
would enslave you and think it's doing you, because if you have a dog as a pet, basically it's kind of your slave. You take it with you whenever you want and it eats what you give it, and it's just so much less intelligent compared to you that you make all the moral decisions for this animal. You're like, okay, I love my dog, I love my puppy, but actually if it could talk, it'll be like, what the hell? Why am I on a leash? You know, so
Interestingly, the dog is happier in the room, in the house, and the cat is happier with the humans. Why?
they're not even on the same level. If we have to, we would kill. I mean, people love their pets, that's a different debate, but I mean, we use animals really all the time. We kill the ones we want, we eat the ones we want, we make them pets, we experiment on them. We are like very, very careless, and I mean, of course, you have some animal ethics groups and stuff like that, but the reality is we misuse things which are less intelligent than us. It's a fact of life. Even humans do that to each other.
And then comes the question of evolution. What is the next frontier of evolution? Are we even meant to be the humans that we are? Are we already becoming cyborgs? Yeah. And the really interesting part is humanity going to exist for thousands of more years?
100% not. I can bet my life on this. 1,000 years is a lot of time. I'm talking like 50, maybe 100. Because in this paper, like these are very smart people talking about this stuff at DeepMind, and they're saying by 2030 we will have an intelligence at least as smart as the smartest human, if not more. And that is a big thing. Then once it learns how to recreate itself, and once it learns how to improve itself by automating research and development on its, the AI can create its own version, next version, which is smarter than it, then the human is out of the picture. Right now, the human is needed to make better versions of AI, to teach it, to make all the power plants run, which, it's like a baby, and we really, really have to take care of it. But when this baby grows and it doesn't need you to run the power plants, it doesn't need you to do the research which improves itself, it doesn't need you to do anything, then we are very quickly out of the picture.
Yeah. So a guy like Elon Musk would say that if you can't beat them, join them, and they're making these chips that you put in your brain and you get the super intelligence. And maybe that's how humans should be. And what is consciousness? What is reality? What is the fundamental structure of the universe? That's a very deep question as well. Maybe we're already living in a simulation as we speak, and maybe if through our artificial intelligence we could create another simulation that was more efficient than the simulation that we're already in. Let's suppose that you have the Neuralink implanted in your brain, and you try to upload your brain into the Neuralink. And then you say, well, like, already we hear that there's a heart transplant. Now someone is walking with a metal heart and he's living. And already we hear that in the future you're going to replace your limbs. And what is the point? How many limbs can you replace and call yourself a human?
You are now referring to the Ship of Thesis. You know this? So basically, you know this analogy, right? Maybe we can add the picture of that. So the Ship of Thesis, so this ship on the port of the Greek city of Thesis, something like that. So some of the parts of the ship were replaced, and gradually all the parts were replaced. So is it the same ship anymore? And if you take the old parts and put them together, do you have two different ships now? So that's the thing. So this is what I wanted to touch upon, that with the advancements in AI and brain implants and, neurobiology and bionics, because don't forget about the biology side, they're also onto a lot of things. I think what's coming is a completely new definition of what a person is or what a human being is. And we will have hybrid intelligence things, some of them living in the digital world only, some of them digital and physical hybrids, some of them traditional like us. So we will have a whole new host of intelligent things. And I mean, if you speculate, then the possibilities are endless. So what would happen if you connect two people with the Neuralink?
Yeah, the left part of one person and the right part of another person.
Two different people, like we are talking to each other and we know you are you and I'm me. But if we have a brain implant, then maybe that boundary is becoming, maybe you would have like couples who have an implant and they know everything about each other. So maybe they are the same person now, and this becomes really messy. Right now, it's very easy to tell you're you and I'm me, because I have my own brain and you have your own brain. But if it's joined, even if you forget about AI, just joining two brains together with the brain waves and the impulses, that takes you in a very weird territory. And now you have AI in it. So again, it's very confusing.
Imagine sitting and having all these ads coming up and you have to skip it in your head.
I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but in China, I think it's easier to research and develop on these things. So they already have 10, 50 patients lined up for these implants. So they're going to do this rapidly.
And the part about consciousness is that if you were talking about this earlier, if you remove the connection between the brains, the person is a completely different person. The left part of the brain, the left part of the brain doesn't know the right part of the brain, and the right part of the brain. And when they're doing these actions, they're making up a story of why they're doing these actions, and the story doesn't make any sense. And some people with Down syndrome, if you put a chip in their brain and this gets super intelligent,
yeah, that could happen.
Then that's like we're
maybe that's also helpful in a way. You could help people with mental disability. It has a lot of potential for good as well. A lot of people with mental disabilities, physical disabilities, they might even cure depression and anxiety and stuff like that. Because nowadays the approach is they give you medicine, it does some stuff in your head, and we don't really know how it all works. But then with these brain implants, we have a precise understanding of how the brain actually works. Or maybe we never do, because it's going to be really fascinating the upcoming years. And I think if people are not following this, they're missing out, and they are really going to be left behind.
Yeah, let's come into the doom and the gloom part of the podcast.
It's also exciting.
Humanity is going to end by 2023.
According to the paper, we were just, if people read this actually, maybe you can link this. It's very scary. It talks about a sudden need to implement all these safety measures. So they have a lot of safety measures in this, and they're saying we don't even know when we might need them. It could be very quick. It could be the next 2 years. It could be definitely the next 10 years, unless we have like a world war or something like completely messed up. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the incredible part is that it takes such a long while for us humans to change the way we're doing things. And if we talk about the time we were born, like 30 years ago, we saw this world in which people, if there was a mechanic, he just had the same skill that a mechanic would have had 50 years ago.
Maybe 50, yeah. And you learn over time. You take the mechanic takes his time to learn,
and the world is really slow. And how we understand and learn our schooling system. You're talking about an AGI that is like 100,000 times more intelligent than us. And we're still stuck on the same physics, chemistry syllabus, and we're still stuck in. You open these books and you find out that they're talking about some stuff that is like ancient relic.
The thing it talks about is real. It's science. It's the children have to learn these things. But the problem is the AI does not. So if you have to give an analogy, an AI, let's say, quote unquote, baby, does not need to go to school. A new AI entity or intelligence is already as smart as the one before it. Just, instantly. That's how it just transfers all its knowledge. In one instance, with a human brain, you can't just do that. For example, for a human brain to be, if you have a son, for him to be able to talk about the things you talk about and understand the world you do, it would take 20 years. For an AI, it's just it's a copy paste kind of, that's you understand what I mean. An AI brain can learn instantly from its predecessor.
And it perceives time a different way, because a human could watch a 2-hour movie in 2 hours, but an AI could watch a million 2-hour movies in 2 hours, because it's perceiving all the information at once.
That you can test right now. It's happening, because if you have the Gemini, it can basically watch a video. The Google Gemini give you instant insights and tips from that video. So if we did like a competition, there's a person here, there's an AI here, and we have a task like you have to watch 10 videos about this topic and bring back your perspective. So already there's a huge difference in the amount of time it would take them to do this. So I want to talk about something, because I want to touch like actual practical things as well. There's this paper called, no, not a paper, it's a project called the Humanities Last Exam. So do you know about this? Yeah. So we should talk about that as well. Humanities Last Exam is a test for AI with 2,500 subjects. And for each subject, every time they test an AI, because they know that AIs can get better as they perform these tests. They learn the questions, they learn the answers. So they thought it's not fair. What they do is for all these 2,500 subjects, there will be experts who will create questions, human experts, for each test, So each time an AI has to be tested, human experts will make these questions, prepare their exams for their relative fields. It's everything. It's environmental science, it's, physical sciences, computer science, law, everything we know as humans, compiled into a huge, gigantic exam with 25,000 questions. And this is then given to the AI to see how well does it do as against really humanity. And fortunately for now, if you see the results, it's up to 30%, 35%, because they can't do all of that stuff. But these same people are also saying that by the end of this year, in 2025, they expect AI to be 70% on this exam. So again, let me remind you, the exam is 2,500 subjects with questions created by experts. So it could not have learned these before, could not have memorized them. And if you take humans, you would need 100 of them to pass this exam maybe. They haven't yet made humans perform this exam. That would be interesting. But you know what I mean? This is the intensity and the complexity of how they're testing these things now. And they think by the end of this year, it would be
70%.
Yeah, and that is scary, and it has a lot of implications about.
And the next year's 100%, and the next year's 120%.
Yeah, you can just go to their website, and maybe you can link this in the podcast description. Humanities Last Exam, and the name is very interesting, right? So it's I don't know why I'd call it like that, but it's the last exam which humanity would make probably.
So let's come up with a scenario. Like we're living 5 years from now, we're in 2030. And there's this world in which AI has taken over.
Maybe none of this happens and this doesn't age well, but.
In our doomsday scenario, AI has taken over all the supply chains of the world, from getting out the minerals from the ground to manufacturing the product. Everything is done by AI. We have all these things, whatever we want, in abundance. A person could just order like 10 phones or 30 laptops or even 10 cars. And the cost of producing something is so low that anyone who wants anything can get that. Yeah. But on the other hand, in this world, there isn't a purpose that we have. Really,
ooh, now you're getting into the real juicy stuff, yeah.
All these people who are living, they really don't have any purpose in life. And maybe when they wake up, the only thing they're worried about is fulfilling their desires. And there's this AI that is a drug AI. You just click the button and it stimulates your neurons and you get pleasure. And then if you're talking about a girlfriend, you have like this virtual girlfriend or a sex robot or even the...
Already happening, yeah. This is not the future, this is almost the present. Yeah, they're not that good yet, but they have these things like AI girlfriends and these robots, and it's happening, yes.
So in an environment, that's the point. There's this thing that Joe Rogan keeps on repeating, and that is that hard times make men that are like capable of doing things, but when there's a time that everything is so easy, how would our children be? They'd be just wasting their time. There wouldn't be any purpose.
So there's two ways of thinking. Some people say, just from the how do you say, like the positivity camp, if you might, or the optimist, that which is the age-old argument that, okay, this is a new technology, it can help us enhance our thinking, it can help us be creative, and it can help us do so many things. As a software developer, if I use it, apparently I can get 10 times productivity. I myself have seen more productivity, but not 10 times. But I could make apps which I couldn't make before now in a month, which I needed a year for with the whole team. So we do have such improvements, and this is real. But just like with the internet, some people are just becoming lazier because of it. They're not using. A very few percentage of people would actually use these tools or AI to improve themselves or to better themselves. If you look at social media and everything, the impact it has been having, it has been making people lazier, and it has been making them more depressed. And everyone knows that. It's all out there. So with this AI, yeah, I do agree that there is a huge potential that it thinks for you, it writes reports for you, it reads for you, and then you're just like, your brain becomes small and stupid. And all your work is offloaded to your AI agent, and you are hooked to that. So you're hooked to these companies even more strongly than before. I mean, the irony that we might be saying this on YouTube, but it's true. I mean, then you have to look out for it, that this could happen.
We're already...
Like Google Maps, right? If you don't have Google Maps, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, how do I get around? Previously, people used to be able to remember maps probably much better and be able to navigate and find their way. Now you're hooked and dependent on this thing.
You're accurate on your analogy, and I would like to add that these are just tools, and now we're talking about artificial general intelligence. That's the really scary part. When that's going to come, hit the market, some people call it singularity. It's when an AI would read its own research paper and write a research paper based upon its previous research paper,
exactly.
and it's
you touched upon that, and I think during this podcast as well, that it can go to a point of self-improvement. So that is a big indicator which we are waiting for now as of 2025 April, that at what point does it start self-improving, and how much time it would take for AI to remove us from the equation completely. I think it's going to happen unless we put these brain cell chips in our head. I think that could be a sort of this concluding remark of this podcast, that really the humans have to really step up their game, or we are basically bringing forth an entity which would very soon not need us, and as humanity would be sitting ducks. And most of the humanity is completely unaware of this right now. Yeah. So I'm ringing the doomsday bell.
People are so not in touch with what is happening with AI.
Yeah.
That's not the
Yeah.
third world, it's even the first world.
Yeah.
And they,
Too fast for anyone to keep up with. Yeah, we need to put out more of these podcasts. And like with the news which is coming up, it's not that spreading that much, because I expect the humanities last exam to be a much more impactful thing for all humans, but no one cares about it. People don't understand. Only the very smart and very involved people do.
AI is already smarter than most of the people, because people who are doing the bookkeeping jobs, people who are just driving a truck around all day, people who are doing jobs that don't really require a person being there, a computer could easily handle it. And then when you're talking about an artificial general intelligence, I also wanted to touch on Manus AI and all these agents that are coming out. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so the agents, okay, let's make a distinction. I don't know if people make that very often. There's an agent, which basically is an AI system, much like ChatGPT, but it has the ability to interact with its world, whether it's digital or physical. So in the digital world, it can, interact with different apps, right, through APIs. So it can talk to, for example, your booking app, or it can talk to your, I don't know, some finance accounting software. It can talk to your 3D animation software. We already have from Cloudy this agent which you can talk to, and then it talks to the software and does the thing for you. So with agents, this is what agents are. They are AIs which talk to other software and can do things very simply, like if you put it for a 5-year-old. So the thing is that it is also a huge revolution which we don't grasp fully, and in the sense that it's a new way of talking to computer systems and softwares. So for a little bit of a history, when we developed computer systems, we were talking to them or interacting with them with punch cards. That's how you programmed. Then you moved on to having a black screen, a command line interface, and you typed in it, and this is how you would talk to the computer. There was no graphical interface. Then you had the graphical interfaces, and then the mouse was a huge revolution, right? You could point and click, and then you had the touch screens. So over time, the way we interact with computer systems got more natural, and now it's literally just that you can talk to it. By that I mean you talk to your web browser, you talk to your accounting software. So that is a huge revolution facilitated by agents. And it's not just that you can interact with the software as a human better and faster and more natural. It's also that it can do things for you. It can perform your tasks. It can do your daily work for you. So these are the agents. And now there's a slight difference. There's a special type of an agent which is really scary, and I think people should be afraid of it. It's called an operator. So with these agents, they need to know the API, which is the software commands to interact with another software, right? If we basically have a diagram, it's easier to explain that these operators will use the computer systems or your mobile devices like you do. They will for example, use WhatsApp and basically click on the WhatsApp messaging thing and start typing, right? So the operators do not need special coding or a special environment. They just naturally understand the world like humans, so they can use a mouse and a keyboard to so that is the thing we are looking at right now.
When we're going to get the operator?
We do have an operator, but it's stupid. We have one from ChatGPT, it's $300 a month, and we have the Manus AI, I don't know if it's like an agent or an operator. We have to check. So the operators are already there, but they're not that advanced. So for example, it can't use Photoshop. Maybe it can use a web browser. So soon they would be able to use Photoshop as well.
So what do you think about all the people who learn to code and all the people? Are these the kind of people who are going to be the most affected by this AI? Or do you think that these agents are going to sneak in and they're going to take over the visual effects industry or the healthcare industry or the call center industry or even, and really the trust part. If we're talking about an AI agent doing something that requires a lot of trust, like me handing the keys to my car to an AI agent and telling it to take me somewhere, that's not something big.
For a week. Yeah.
Or make my life decisions for me. Maybe I could like go to 4 different places in the next month, or do 4 different tasks in the next month, and I ask an AI operator to assist me, help me find the best possible way to achieve my goals in the next year. I mean, how good can it be, and is it trustworthy even?
If you talk about trust, I think we already trust softwares and computer systems and algorithms more than we trust other humans. Naturally, because I don't know, it's like maybe it's a test you could do. If someone is following the Google Maps, or if they ask someone, some people might trust the people who are giving them directions on the road. You know, if you stop and ask someone, hey, how do I get to this hospital? Some guy says, oh, go straight and then left. And then you have the same thing on Google Maps. So you would definitely be going with the maps, right? If the person is telling you to go right, maps say left, you will go left. So you trust the software built by Google, and which they spent billions of dollars on. So already for this small thing, you have put your trust in the software. So also maybe we can come up with other analogies where we trust software more. So I think already people are trusting ChatGPT more than maybe they trust the knowledge.
What if the AI can look at all directions? Like Elon Musk says that the AI has a LiDAR scanner and it's looking in 360 direction, and it's taking all the data, like it's like 120 frames per second, much more than a human can ever comprehend. So it's better in protecting you than you yourself. So if there comes a point that you don't trust yourself and you trust AI more than your own self, then you're just really doomed.
That's now what they call maybe the real world AI or something. World models is the word they're using. So the AI in the physical world.
Yeah. Physical AI is the next platform. But before frontier, but before we're getting to physical AI, let's just quickly talk about what's happening with the AR and the VR thing. Now we're integrating AI with augmented reality. And augmented reality used to be like this floating icon or a floating character that you put your glasses on and it sticks to this table or sticks to that place. But now AI, through these LiDAR scanners, is taking point cloud data of the whole world. And it's constructing a visual reality that was unheard of. The fidelity is like very high fidelity. And now when the point cloud data captures a laptop, now the AI is recognizing it as a laptop. Maybe in the future you could put on an AR glasses and you could give yourself like a really difficult task, like I want to make some sort of a machine, and you have all these tools in front of you, and now the AI through your AR goggles is guiding you to pick up which tool to move which screw. That's like the new frontier. So it will augment what you want to do.
Already happening, right, with the Meta goggles. I haven't tested them personally, but they see the. So again, yeah, this brings me back to something we touched here, that when you're wearing these goggles, you are basically seeing the world with your AI companion. And if we imagine a scenario where a kid is growing up, he buys these goggles and he gets them as a gift. Maybe that would be happening in the future now in 5 years. And he has been wearing these goggles since he was 8 and now he is 14. So the goggles have seen the entire world with him. This is unlike his phone. On his phone, the phone already knows a lot about you. They know, that could be another topic, what they'll know about us. But it knows that through your interaction with that mobile device, and some people speculate by listening to you, right? So now it will be seeing the world with you, and it will be your companion. It will know about your friends, where you go, what you like to see. Even if you have the glasses on your face, the data these companies would have about you is unprecedented and scary. They would even know if you enter an ice cream store, they would really know which one you like because you would be looking at it more. They would know, what kind of girls you like, and if you're a guy, about really where you focus on, because you perceive the world a lot with your eyes. So if you have an AI agent sitting on your eyes, it really is a huge part of you. And that is scary, but also helpful in a way, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah, right now it's slow and stupid and makes some mistakes, but we're gonna get there. Yeah, very soon.
So let's go on to the digital twin aspect of AI. So there's this whole fascination about creating a digital twin of our world, maybe a digital twin of our factory, and that's where AI comes in, and that's where Omniverse is taking a huge leap. So in your Omniverse, you could create your own personalized factory with your own robots, and they would act exactly the way a real robot would act in a factory environment. And you could map out their actions, and you could tell them to make this product with the best possible supply chain and with the best possible resources and everything. And it would really come up with all the scenarios, and it would do machine learning on it as well. And then comes NVIDIA's Cosmos. Now, Cosmos is like doing real world scenarios. It's simulating the weather patterns. So this was like a really big computational problem, because our planet and the climate is not really dependent upon one single factor.
It can be chaotic, yes.
When we were little, we used to read about this butterfly effect. Like a butterfly across the world could just flap its wings, and it could end up across the world in a tornado. So now AI is so powerful that it could really simulate all these weather patterns. And then when you go in more details, it could simulate scenarios for you, like if you're driving a car and it's a sunny day, if you're driving a car and it's night, if you're driving a car and it's raining, and if you're driving a car and it's snowing. So all these different scenarios, it could go on in real time, and it could take 1,000 different scenarios and train itself upon that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So how do you see a world where there's like a real digital twin of the world, or a digital twin of our factories, or of our robotics and our supply chains? What's the future with that like?
So basically, the first thing which comes to mind with these digital representations is that it makes everything much faster. Because if you're training a self-driving car, it's difficult to collect all weather data, where you have rain, snow, all different types of weather. In the real world, it might not, although they are also getting that now. But in the simulated world, it's easier to create data. It's easier to test your products. It's easier to just have everything run in the simulation before it comes out into the real world. So that makes making new products much faster, and that makes it even cheaper. And an interesting aspect of that is even running these simulations, iterating new product models for maybe a self-driving car, maybe a humanoid robot, even that thing could be automated, where an AI agent is creating more instances of these product prototypes and testing them and then deploying them in the real world. So you can even remove the human from that equation as well. So it's a very fast and rapid R&D pipeline, which runs on a simulation, and then
Maybe the killer robot wasn't that capable, and now the AI is coming up with millions of different scenarios to make the killer robot even more deadly, and it's like a machine.
It's a huge difference. Because if you look at the Elon Musk's space rocket, the problem is that they cannot simulate really what happens when you send a rocket up into space. Although it sounds simple, there's so many factors that it's very difficult to exactly know. So they have to actually do that thing. So as the simulations get better, you don't have to spend millions of dollars on maybe space rockets or cars or robots. You can just test them, and then bring them out when they're better. I think they're already doing that with these humanoid robots from Unitree, well, that's another topic, but they're getting really, yeah.
I would want myself to go in the Omniverse, and I would want the robots to come in the real world.
That would be fun, yeah.
So yeah, physically, I touched a little bit on that. Why is the frontier of human-like robots, humanoid robots, such a fascinating thing for us? And what is the possibilities of a humanoid robot? Maybe we don't need humans now when there's humanoid robots.
Yeah, you could also not need humans without humanoid robots. So you do not need to be replaced by something which looks like you. The reason they're bringing them in is to be able to adapt to the world made for humans more easily. So if you have a robot which has limbs and a body like you, then it can work within and interact with the environment which we live in.
Because it's like thousands of years of evolution, and think of it like the screws that we make, and the laptops that we use, and everything that is around us. Yeah, that's made for a humanoid body form. And once we have a humanoid robot that can do a lot, actually, through evolution, we have a really cool body. And the human body could do a lot. We could go underground like 10 kilometers and mine some stuff, and we could go up in the space, and we could do all these amazing things. And evolution is pretty good, but AI is even better.
Yeah. Because to be able to do all of these things, if you want to go underwater, you need an oxygen tank, a pressure suit, and even then but now, for a submarine with, an intelligent brain, it will be doing that. So coming back to physical AI and humanoid robots specifically, I think they're a transition phase for maybe the next 50 years, where these robots sort of start living in our world, initially helping us and then maybe replacing us, but then eventually they won't be needed because the world won't be for humans. It will be for machines and algorithms and different sort of intelligence. So the humanoid robot is really a transition phase where we as humans are inviting our AI overlords into our world, the one we live in. So yeah, and initially they might be really helpful. And they say that we will have our AGI moment for humanoid robots soon, maybe in the next few years, which is the ChatGPT moment, which is that we get a humanoid robot, which is really, really mind-blowing and awesome and does so many things which we do. Right now, we're not there yet. It will take some time, Then you can talk about safety for these, but that's a very long Yeah, so all the safety topics that we touched upon in this podcast, they also apply to humanoids, and they can do all the same things like, mistakes and misalignment and misuse and malintent. They can also be doing that. So there's not enough research on that at all. I think we need like a 1,000 research papers every single day on this topic, but it's not enough. Yeah.
We don't understand about it at all, and we're racing towards a future with AI and robotics and simulations and all this stuff, which can get really scary. So, if we would like to close our podcast, what is the one thing that you would like to say to our audience? Should we be scared? Should we be optimistic about the future?
It is definitely scary, and we should be informed. So the only reason to be scared is that it's unprecedented. It's coming very fast. But the more knowledge you have, the less panic it would be. So if you're in the darkness, we would be taken by surprise, and suddenly your world will flip over. But if you have some knowledge, some understanding, then it might not be as scary, or you might even be able to use it for good for some time.
So the AI overlords are coming, and if you resist, the AI is going to punish you severely. So why don't we make a religion and already consider AI as our god and do our rituals to the AI? So when the AI comes, it's like this guy was like vouching for me, so I'll give him a car and a girlfriend.
Because if you talk about torture, if an AI wants to torture you, it can go back to human history and find out the worst possible ways, write a thesis and research on that, do a PhD, and then start torturing you. So, it can be really creative and scary. So the conclusion is to be knowledgeable about these topics, to stay informed, and to understand how to, adapt them and integrate them in your life, and to, be on top of this. Otherwise, you will be left in the dust and left behind and be taken by a surprise.
So it was a pleasure having you, Ali Faraz, at our podcast at Sofa Studios. And we'd like to have you again. And we had a really interesting conversation about artificial intelligence. And maybe in the next episode, when we have Ali Faraz, we could talk about what is happening in AI in the short term, like what's happening in the next month or two or in the next year. And don't get so philosophical about everything. So
Like a very general approach. If anyone has watched until this point, we should be grateful to them for watching, and definitely we can explore these topics more, and also like it, in terms of what's happening in the next few years. Yeah. I think we still touched upon that, but we could be more specific.
Specific about what's really happening.
We did touch upon that too this time, because it's like these research papers, and I think even in this podcast, there's a lot of material linked to the real world things which are happening. So, but we could dive into that more. Yeah.
And if you talk about a lot of geeky shit, I think that gets a little boring as well sometimes. Not so much of the nerdy shit. So peace out, guys. Have a nice time. Let's see you next time.